Are you sick and tired of having migraine headaches all the time? New research just published, building on existing research, shows a path that you can take to decrease the frequency and severity of your chronic migraines. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician who also used to suffer from severe chronic migraines. This video is going to help you understand what steps you need to take to stop being a chronic migraineur. It's estimated that about 4 million people in the United States alone suffer from chronic migraines. And I don't have to tell you the days of lost work, the hours of lost enjoyment, the pain, the suffering, and the decrease in your ability to just interact with other people when you have chronic migraines. Now, it's definitely true that your genetics make you more likely to suffer from migraine headaches. But the truth of the matter is that the severity of your migraines and the frequency of your migraines are determined by the foods that you eat. The study I'm talking about was a 16-week-long randomized control trial in human beings. There were 182 participants, and they divided these participants up into 3 groups. One group, they just gave them more omega-3 rich foods to eat, and everything else stayed the same. The second group, they increased the amount of omega-3 rich foods and decreased the amount of omega-6 rich foods. And then the third group of subjects was the control arm. They didn't change anything at all. These researchers found that the greatest reduction in migraine frequency and migraine severity came to those in the study group where they increased the amount of their omega-3 intake and decreased their amount of omega-6 fatty acid intake. Now, these people weren't taking supplements, okay? So don't go buy an omega-3 fatty acid supplement. They were just eating more omega-3 rich foods. And they were also decreasing the amount of omega-6 rich foods that they ate. And the omega-6 part is peculiar because really the vast majority of the omega-6 fatty acids that you get, mainly linoleic acid, comes from vegetable oils, adding these vegetable oils onto salads and other cold foods, or cooking with these omega-6 rich vegetable oils. There was previously another randomized control trial in human beings that showed that increasing omega-3 intake and decreasing omega-6 intake also decreased the severity and frequency of migraine headaches. I'm going to link to both of these studies down in the show notes so that when you have that conversation with your doctor, you can print these studies out and take them along with you. So now that you know what these studies say, how exactly do you need to proceed to reduce your frequency and severity of chronic migraine headaches? So the number one thing based on these 2 studies that you need to do is reduce your intake of linoleic acid. That is an omega-6 fatty acid that many experts have linked to oxidation and inflammation in your body, specifically in your brain. The most common offenders, the vegetable oils that have the highest percentage of linoleic acid are as follows: safflower oil, grapeseed oil, poppy seed oil, sunflower oil, hemp oil, corn, wheat germ oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, walnut oil, sesame oil, rice bran oil, pistachio oil, peanut oil, and canola oil. Now, by far the most highly consumed of these for most people around the world are soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, peanut oil. You need to stop eating anything that contains them or anything that is cooked in them. By doing this one step, you're going to drastically reduce the amount of linoleic acid that you ingest. Now, keep in mind, putting these oils on your skin, I think, is totally fine. You're not going to absorb them in any meaningful way. So if you have any kind of oil for your hair or skin made of these oils, I think they're perfectly safe and fine. It's the eating, the ingesting of these oils that leads to oxidation and inflammation in your brain and other body organs. So if you have any of these oils in your house, you need to throw them in the garbage. And then in the future, any packaged food you buy or anytime you eat in a restaurant, you're going to ask them, what's this cooked in? You're going to look on the ingredient list and see if any of these vegetable oils are in the ingredients. If so, you're not going to eat that food. And when you go to a restaurant, you're going to ask them to cook your food in beef tallow or butter or in bacon grease or ghee. And that way you're avoiding these very high levels of linoleic acid. The second thing I want you to take note of is the tens of thousands of anecdotal studies or individual people who have had results. They absolutely have results by following the results of these studies, but they also, number two, they remove all added sugar and all high sugar fruits and fruit juices and fruit smoothies from their diet. That's going to help even more, and that works by lowering your insulin level. Your insulin level has a dramatic effect on the levels of your other hormones in your body. So when you return your insulin level back to low normal, all your other hormones are going to normalize as well. And we know that hormones matter in this because women are 3 times more likely to have chronic migraines than men. Although I'm the odd man out, I used to have them. But on average, it's 3 times more common in women, and that's probably because of the differences in hormones. Step number 3 is to remove all grains from your diet, the most common being wheat, rice, oats, corn, and teff. Removing all these grains from your diet is, again, going to help lower your chronically elevated insulin level back to low normal, which is going to allow your other hormones a chance to normalize. And then step 4 is to remove all liquid dairy from your diet, that any liquid dairy that's less fat than heavy cream or whipping cream or double cream. They're going to have too high a proportion of lactose, which is milk sugar, which again is going to break down into galactose and glucose, which is going to raise your insulin level and keep it chronically elevated. So you're not going to drink any of these lower fat dairies, and you're not going to eat anything that contains fat-free or skim or 2% dairy. Following these 4 steps is going to drastically reduce the severity and the frequency of your migraine headache, so much to the point where you may not have to take your preventative migraine medication anymore. And if you don't have to do that anymore, congratulations. Tens of thousands of people have used these 4 steps to either reduce or completely reverse their chronic migraine status. If anybody's used these 4 steps in their diet, in their personal life, please put your story in the comments underneath this video so that people who are new to this way of eating, who might not believe this crazy doctor from Tennessee, can read your story and say, oh yeah, it worked for them and they're just like me. I went to 2 of the larger websites that are tasked with taking care of people with chronic migraines and helping them to have fewer migraines. I went to the American Migraine Foundation and I did a search for linoleic acid, and as you can see, there were no results found, although there was a donation button that was very prominent. I then went to the Migraine Trust, another large organization that's committed to doing research and helping people with chronic migraines. Search for linoleic acid, and again, no results were found, but again, the donate button was very prominent. So if you haven't heard a lot about this kind of research out there from the migraine organization that you're a part of, I'm not sure why they're not more interested in talking about dietary ways to decrease the severity and the intensity and the frequency of your migraine headaches, but currently they're not very interested. If you go to the American Heart Association website, they actually recommend oils that are very, very high in linoleic acid for cooking because they think that they're better for your heart health. The research doesn't support this, and if you're a chronic migraineur, I would definitely recommend you ignore the American Heart Association's recommendations on which oils to cook with and which oils to eat. If you have a friend or a family member who suffers from chronic severe migraines, please share this video with them. It could absolutely increase the quality of their life just by sharing this video. This is Dr. Barry. I'll see you next time.